you're too young, man. You can't even you can't see the big picture, man.
Do you remember? You can't forget. The past is over, but it hasn't happened yet. We've been together, we've been apart. Whatever the weather, we're still heart to heart. True friends.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Forevermore. And in your darkest hour.
Willie Sanchez.
My film, We Are Skateboarders, while it was a very highly exposed skateboarding documentary, it was actually the second highest viewed skateboarding documentary, right under Dogtown and the Z-Boys. It was definitely not a commercial success. I think I've made $25,000 at most over the past 16 years since it came out in November 2010. You'll hear it in therapy or the realm of mental health or trying to reframe things as like, how do you define success? For me, like, I'll go all over the place, back and forth here and there about like how I fucked up.
Precious memories may bring a tear.
But the truth is that over time, I have to take in consideration, which I've gotten substantially better at, of the fact that I did have undiagnosed bipolar disorder.
And in your darkest hour, I'll be yours.
I don't think this is exactly a textbook quote, but I would call undiagnosed bipolar disorder an emotional and mental tyrant. You know, that's actually, for me and what I experienced, is the best way to put it.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck, I love you, dog. Seriously.
The days are here.
It sucks because when I look back at that experience, I actually feel nothing but hatred, not just for the experience in general, but actually towards myself. Very, very severe resentment and rage towards the fact that I left behind everybody that I ever loved to be surrounded by professional skateboarders who, you know, I would typically film for 1 to 2 days and then never see again. One day, about 5 months ago, I was in therapy and I was like, Jack, like, I can't keep harboring this, you know, like I've been harboring this for 15 years. I've been blocking this out for 15 years. Like, but if I tell you in session, you know, just free thinking and fire away, I'm gonna start crying so much that I wouldn't even be legible. So I was like, all right, I'll write it out in an essay, the whole experience, just for you, so you can read it and we'll talk about it from there. And it worked. Like, it helped. It started this whole domino effect of revelations.
Skateboarding is one of the few real things left in this world, and we are skateboarders.
Only from when I took that giant leap of faith in therapy did things get better. And, you know, I guess here's a really good example. So I had this journal, this little journal, and I would take the journal every day to a CVS, and I would sit in the alleyway behind it, and I would journal psychotic thoughts. You know, I was in and out of a state of psychosis and just in a constant state of manic depression. What breaks my heart, I guess, is that, like, that's what I was doing on my 19th birthday, you know, like, and while I work very hard in therapy to try to never look back in anger or with sadness or even self-pity, like, I never want to look back and remember how that felt, like, ever, you know? But that was before I started to finally release everything that I've been holding on to for 15 years because I just couldn't bear it anymore. And I think that since I had that thought, how I approach looking at myself then, from the lens that I have now, 16 years later, it's actually been kind of the start of it all.
That's a deep question.
That's a tricky question there. You got a tricky question. Do you mind if I give tricky answers? What is the soul of skateboarding? Skateboarding happens to be that one thing that when I started doing it, I just wanted to keep doing it. It was my addiction. It was the fun toy that gave me purpose and place and belonging. And I truly believe when you have that feeling that it's your soul and your passion, it's your God. So I think skateboarding is a lot of people's gods. It's their everything. It's their reason for living. It's their being. It's their purpose. If they don't have it, they don't have place. They don't have popularity. They don't have reason to be alive, basically.
When I was 17, my mom had taken me to a psychic, and at the time I would have, done anything with or for my mom, and so I did it. And what the psychic had told me was that I was going to make a skateboarding film that would change the world. And while by no means whatsoever did a skateboarding documentary that I made, We Are Skateboarders, change the world, I think that I had the ability to make that film because of that psychic. And it's taken me a long time to have those words come out of my mouth.
Something bigger than you, it's like you're with the culture, you're with the people around you.
To me, what drives every skateboarder is learning a new trick, whether it's learning how to 5-0 on a mini ramp or it's learning to do a switch 360 heel flip. It's this sort of essence of finding that joy of progression because there's nothing like it. Money can't buy it.
That outweighs all the fame, the fortune, the status, having a pro model. Just the feeling that skateboarding gives you of this accomplishment, and once you roll away, it's like the most amazing feeling in the world.
Stay back, it's skateboarding.
To most of society, it doesn't even make sense.
No one's supposed to be on this property whatsoever.
Then there's us skaters who it makes perfect sense to, where it's just another world. It's a place for you to escape, and it's a place for you and your friends to escape all together. Doesn't even make logical sense what skaters are doing, grinding ledges, jumping down gaps. It looks cool, but it also feels great, and it puts you right in the moment, unlike anything else, and it reminds you that you're alive.
I think between what she had said and already just flying with grandiosity, and because that actually is a very common symptom of bipolar disorder, I just kind of looked at it at that time like something just went off in my head, like, what would you do if you could not fail,
I just felt like it had to be true. At the time, my college education was being funded by my grandfather, and I saw it as a way of being controlled. I wrote my grandfather the angriest letter I could, telling him I wouldn't let his money control me anymore, and that I didn't want to be seen as a trust fund kid, and of course, that I was going to stay in California. I became so in love with the movie Into the Wild, and I saw beauty in running and being alone.
This is the way I share my breakfast. This is the way I serve myself.
Eventually, I wrote back to my grandfather, and I told him I was sorry for getting so angry, and that I wanted my friend back. But as far as his money went, he could keep it. I loved the idea of doing this on my own. Somehow, I had the tenacity to drop everything and go. Somehow, I would get these skateboarders to let me in. Gone from New York and alone in California was where I thought I could find the success that I was promised, but I had no idea how psychologically tormented I would be because of this.
They gently hold me. Well, who knows, who knows? Yeah, I may come home. Yeah, I may return.
By the time that my best friend went home that summer, I kind of just said to myself, like, I am going to make a skateboarding documentary that would be sold around the world on DVD, and I am going to see this thing through till the end, and I do not care what happens to me doing it. I ended up living with a very, very sweet mother and daughter in a little house in Los Angeles, and very, very slowly but surely started approaching skateboarders, just going down to skate shops and just, you know, telling them I wanted to film with them, and I have an idea for a documentary. It all started on Santa Monica Boulevard and Olympic Boulevard. That's how bad my memory is. I don't remember if the fucking boulevard's a street, but I don't care. So it was actually Alec Beck who was trying that classic wall ride to front board, and one of the days out of the 7 I was filming it, this dude just comes rolling down the hill. Oh man, R.I.P. Kurt Stevenson, love you brother. And he just comes rolling down the hill and he's fucking holding a Transworld magazine, and the reason he was holding it because there was an article in it written about his father.
Could you send over a payment right now, too?
Listen, your extortion tactics might work elsewhere, my friend.
But they're gonna have to work here too. Otherwise, I'd have to call you 7 times just to get one payment, dude. Hold on. The first thing Kurt said to me, probably before hello, was if I ever heard of his dad's magazine from the late 80s called Power Edge. I told him no, and then he asked me if I've ever heard of Rick Cossack from Jackass, and I said yes. He brought me a shoebox filled with issues of the old Power Edge magazines, and it was the best magazine I'd ever saw. For so many of the legendary skaters in the world, dudes like Tony Hawk, Danny Way, Lance Mountain, Mike Vallely, they got their very first skate photos in a Power Edge magazine. We drove around for a little. He explained to me about how he was recovering from his past. Have you ever done a Batman turn? He said. What? I said. Have you ever done a Batman turn? Just answer the question. No. And he did it. He ripped the e-brake back and spun the wheels so the car does a 180 real fast onto the other side of the street. It was raining, and that was easily the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life, let alone with someone I only knew for an hour.
Look it, Makaha came up with the kicktail.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? What do you want from Makaha? What do you need? You need innovation? Go back, what is it, 50 years? Okay, go back 45 years and see what they were doing. And they were even better designed, I'm sorry. And it's not because it's your dad, it's just the truth.
Kurt was dealing with a lot of issues, which I never really related to, but the biggest problem he had, which I did understand, was that his father, Larry Stevenson, was dying of Parkinson's disease, and he was hurting hard from it.
I see double you stand by me, you take my side, against those who lie, you take my side, give me back my pride.
Larry Stevenson is not only the original publisher of Power Edge magazine and the creator of Makaha skateboards, but he is the reason why skateboards are not flat anymore. In 1971, Larry Stevenson patented the kicktail. The way I saw it, Kurt was trying to save his dad from Parkinson's by bringing back his old magazine to life, and I wanted to help him.
Right then and there, I swear, he was just like, he told me all about Power Edge, and he was like, would you like to be the managing editor of this magazine? So I was like, yeah, of course, you know, and I wrote home and I immediately wrote an essay called Alive, and it was all about feeling alive, but the difference between living and feeling alive, and I sent it to him, and he loved it, and you know, in his own way.
Of course, there was Spencer, the graphic artist of Power Edge, who learned a new meaning of patience while dealing with a 19-year-old telling him how to make a magazine. And Romano, the contributing editor, who all he wanted out of life was to interview Mike V, which he did, and we put it in the magazine. I love Romano to death, but he was even crazier than me and Kurt.
The only sport where it's accepted when you fall is fucking skateboarding. Think about it. It's like it's okay when you roll. I mean, hockey is your fight, but skateboarding.
Fuck yeah, Romano. The craziest thing about the whole thing is that I didn't even get a cent for making the magazine until the 3rd issue, when I demanded $300 a month if they wanted me to continue. About 3 months working into the mag, I contacted Jake Brown through the Power Edge's MySpace, and he was so down for Power Edge. We met up at the Roosevelt Hotel on the Hollywood Strip, and in one night, it seemed like every door started to open for me.
Once I got the sponsorship from Power Edge magazine, as far as skateboarding goes and the skateboarding industry, and my ability to just walk up to or call a professional skateboarder, I had no problem, more or less, getting any interview I wanted from any professional skateboarder. Legends or the hot kid at the time.
Welcome back to The Daily Habit, presented by Verizon Wireless. Guest host Will Tan here with filmer, editor Ben Duffy, and pro skateboarder Sammy Baptista. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
Thanks
Sammy.
for having us.
How you guys been?
Good, good. Man.
Cool, cool. So we're here to talk a little bit about your new film, We Are Skateboarders.
No thanks. Skateboarding is a crime.
Back then it was like, you know, there was only 5 kids in my high school that skated. It was not a cool thing. Like, that's why it was cool, because you were doing something different. Oh, perfect. No worries.
I use it on my butt crack.
Circumstantial evidence placed within my mind, trial without a jury.
The dicks on the shirt, there. Just because you got dicks on your shirt doesn't mean you're queer. Just because you're doing a picture with a guy who's gay doesn't mean you're queer. And if, you know what, I'd rather hang out with a queer than a fucking jock any day. Sorry. It keeps you from murdering people, and it keeps you from breaking in the house. It doesn't keep you from it, it just makes you do stuff less. Just trust me, it's not a cure-all, but it fucking helps.
Still helps so much.
Give you that support and that sort of esteem, like, all right, someone's behind this, let's do it.
Jake Brown, like, oh, I'm so down for Power Edge, you know, and then I met up with him, and then that night at the Roosevelt Hotel, like, interviewed Sean Sheffield and Griff Berg and Colin McKay, like, I don't know, I met Rob Dyrdek that night, like, Rob, you down to do this? He's like,
and they're all in.
He's like, dude, Power Edge, like, that was like one of the greatest things in my life.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
It felt like, honestly, day by day, as I got further and further along into making the film, my symptoms just became so much worse. Like, maybe not day by day, but, you know, noticeably week by week. And when you have no idea what's going on with you because you have undiagnosed bipolar disorder and you have nobody with any professional expertise to tell you what is actually happening to you, it's fucking scary. Like, it's absolutely traumatizing. And I think, and I'm no psychiatrist or therapist, but I think what makes it even more traumatizing is the fact that you're fighting it. Like, you're holding back all your fear and you're not telling anybody about it, you know? Like, blocking it out every day, because it's just like, if I stop to think about what the fuck I'm feeling right now and thinking right now, I'm like going to crawl in a corner and hide and just drop everything and just cry and cry and cry and just like one day come out of it. I hardly ate for 2 years. Like, it was, you know, oh, you're not starving when you're holding a camera, you're starving when you're done. Like, I guess, but like, you know, that's like what people say about it to try to make it sound cool. But like, I'm telling you right now, there was nothing cool about it.
At the time, I was so poor I was practically starving, so Kurt had brought me down to the General Relief building and introduced me to food stamps. I hated going there, and to really make it hell, I had to do community service for them. I folded blankets at the Veterans Hospital 20 hours a month. Sounds like nothing, but fuck that, you know? I wasn't trying to miss out on a day of filming. It was a double-edged sword too, because at the time you could only use food stamps in supermarkets, and I was always out filming or on the bus, and never home. So I was basically starving all day while trying to film dudes try tricks for hours, and it just drove me mentally and emotionally deeper and deeper into the ground.
You know, there was this one time with one of the very, very, very few skateboarders that I did become close with, substantially close. He really felt like a brother to me. He was just like, Ben, when you get hungry and you don't have enough to eat for the day, have a little bit of salad and a Snickers and do not think about anything else. And it helped. Like, it helped. I think that power of denial, of just like, if I were to dwell every day about how hungry I was all day or any given time of that day, this film would have never been made, because I would have just, that's all I would have focused on, given how little I was eating.
I got it in my mind, my backbone is leaning there. I even had it set up for the invert. See that? I took the pliers, and I got my girls' underwear tucked in for padding, so I could do a hand plant. Underwear. What do you think will happen?
Ready?
I do think about, more specifically, times that actually weren't painful at all. And it's peculiar because, like, for instance, like, one night I was riding the bus home from Santa Monica. By the way, I was living on Pico Boulevard, very close to the whole trendy Fairfax District bullshit. And there was a really nice dude on the bus, and he had a skateboard. And Chris actually ended up being my very first friend that I made in LA. One night I was staying at his house. He was actually living with his mom at the time. You know, we were 19. His cousin came home, and who was a Crip. And he's just like, oh, yo, what's up, dude? Like, what have you been up to? And he's just like, cripping. And while he said that, he was folding his laundry and putting it away in a dresser. And I just, even then, I felt like it was such a human moment for me to experience. Like, you got this, like, super hard body dude in one of the most dangerous gangs in America, and he's just folding his clothes and just probably just trying to find peace of mind like everybody else. And when I look back, like, that's actually a beautiful memory for me. Like, or the time that I was on Skid Row, I was embarking on making a documentary about homeless people. I had told my mom, because you sold the house and because my dad's gone, I know I'm going to end up homeless too. And I wanted to try to feel closer to how homeless people felt. So I said to myself, every day I'm not filming for We Are Skateboarders, I'm going to go down to downtown LA and interview homeless people and just film in general. And you know, I would give them $1 because that was all I had to leave enough for me to ride the bus home. And you know, I did that for a month or so. Ended up on Skid Row, and I was filming, and some dude, just like big dude, just comes walking up to me pretty fast. I'm like, oh fuck, like panicking. And he was like, no, dude, I'm not gonna hurt you, but like, I'm just letting you know, like, there's some dudes down there who like told me they're coming to kill you and rob your camera. I was like, oh my god, like, thank you. Like, I packed up my fucking camera all quick and just fucking bolted out of Skid Row. And you know, again, like, when I look back, that's such a beautiful memory of mine, because when I look back to that dude, I have nothing but the warmest memory. And like, the paradox of it all is like, those are the beautiful memories, and 90% of the memories that I have of filming the professional skateboarders were actually the painful ones. For me, it was just like, you know, I would feel so elated, you know, filming them, and especially when they landed the trick and I filmed it well and everybody was fucking hyped. You know, I wasn't the only one that was elated. It was weird because it wasn't even like a manic or depressed feeling. It was kind of just like almost balanced within a state of elation, just like feeling like just like everybody else. I don't give a fuck who you are, what you're going through, or what your condition is. Like, just calmness because you feel like you've achieved something. And like, it was really special. And I would get back on the bus to go home just like that. I'd be like, I want to fucking kill myself right now. And that's how those bus rides went every day for 2 years. Like, there was this one time I remember I came down with an awful stomach infection. I was like tossing and turning around bed, like making phone calls, like trying to find someone, some skater to film with me that day for the documentary. And honestly, I am so glad that nobody like was able to, because I would have done it, you know, with no hesitation, you know. And like, that's just the thing. Like, I would rather be dead that day than not film for my documentary. And again, that was every day.
common question of where is skateboarding going might still be a mystery, but one thing that is for certain, skateboarding has changed. There was a time when YouTube and blank decks weren't a way of life and people actually supported skate shops. It is often quoted, there was a time when you passed a fellow skater on the street and it was an instant bond or even friendship just because they were a skater. But that seems to be just a quote nowadays. What really happened to that? Has skateboarding become too popular for its own good? Where is the soul of skateboarding going?
Over the years, like, for instance, like the third hospitalization out of my 4, I was hospitalized 2 times when I was 23. The first time I went in, that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I was hospitalized 2 times when I was 28. So the first time when I was 28, I was in the hospital, and one of the therapists told me that bipolar 1 is actually the very hardest mental health condition to treat because there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You know, I like rarely drank, and maybe chalk it up to like 40 times in 2 years. And I smoked weed some, yeah. I mean, I was never really that big into it or did it that frequently, but weed more so than alcohol. And, you know, I virtually had no female intimacy the entire time until the last month of filming. I got a girlfriend, and that was just right before I moved back to New York.
Just a song.
No matter how many people I was surrounded by, in my heart, I was living in sheer isolation. You know, my parents were out of the picture in their own very unique ways, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's crazy. Like, man, like, after I wrote that essay, I had wrote out every ounce of fucking blood and pain that I felt at that time. And it was weird because a week later I came to my therapist and I was like, you know, man, like, I realized that actually, like, the most painful part of it is this thing that I didn't write in the essay because I still was blocking it out. And, you know, like I said, my parents were out of the picture, and I just thought to myself, like, I was 19, and like, I was terrified, and like, I just thought to myself, like, what if one day, just one moment, I could have one moment where my parents can come together and just give me a hug at the same time, you know, like I need you right now, you know, like, I'm living with undiagnosed bipolar disorder, and I'm suffering, and like, I don't think it should be a luxury to like want to have a hug from both of your parents at the same time. Like, you know, just stop forgetting about me, you know, for like 2 seconds, you know.
Now these thoughts are haunting me of how complete I used to be, and in these times that we're apart, I'll hear this song that breaks my heart and think of you.
You go out and fuck shit up, you know?
You gotta call security, man.
Nah, dude, you don't. Just fucking give it one more try.
Okay.
Break things and break, you know, and skate where we're not supposed to skate, and skate how we're not supposed to skate.
Eventually, again, like, that thought started to kind of fall to the wayside. I'm serious, man. Like, the essay and all these revelations since, it's like, eventually I got to the point where I was like, you know, Jack, like, I wish I had a little bit more of that dude during the time of filming We Are Skateboarders. I honestly do, you know? Like, I was fearless, and I kept on saying that, like, session after session. It's like, damn, man, like, I started to miss that version of me for the first time in 15 years. And after always just looking at a picture of me during that time and just feeling nothing but despise, or when people would come up to me randomly, wherever I was, usually at the skate park, and just be like, oh, like, I saw We Are Skateboarders. Like, you made We Are Skateboarders. I was just like, yeah. And I would just, like, try to run away, metaphorically, in that moment, you know? And it's just the weirdest thing. Like, you know, here I am trying to transform all that emotional pain and stuff, mental pain. It was pretty soon after We Are Skateboarders came out and was doing well, you know, like a lot of premieres. It was being sold very well around the world on DVD. And
we're here in Germany for the premiere of We Are Skateboarders.
What up, dog?
Same.
Yeah.
He's filming.
This is Solar.
I was just like, you know, I was showering like maybe 4 times a week, like usually 3, and like throughout December to fucking all, you know, the end of summer or whatever. And I would wear this fucking green and white Quicksilver bathing suit, and I swear, I feel like when I look back, I wore that bathing suit for 6 months straight. Summer too, you know. And like, if you ask any of my friends at that time, they'd be like, that's absolutely true. Like, you love that bathing suit, you know. So I'm going out to Ireland, you know. I had a screening of We Are Skateboarders in Ireland, and also I was doing filming for the documentary I was working on, called Heartchild, that followed We Are Skateboarders. So we were doing some filming in Ireland, and I get to the airport in New York, and I was just like, I had the worst jock rash you can ever imagine. Like, I was burning. So I was like, I called my friend who had herpes, and like, I was like, dude, do I have herpes? He's like, no. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Just like, all right. So I get to Dublin at like 5:30 in the morning, and it is unbearable. Like, just like, I have to figure out something right now. Like, I'm gonna ruin this whole Ireland experience, like in the rest of the countries we're going to on this trip. And so I was like, all right, bacitration, it always works. So I put on the bacitration. 10 minutes later, I was fine. I threw out the bathing suit, put on some pants, and then I ended up doing a boneless on a bridge at 7:30 in the morning at Dublin. And like, I easily could have fell into the river, and I didn't, and rolled away with a smile on my face. And like, that's just it, you know? Like, if someone would have come up to me at that time and just been like, said like, what do these words mean to you? Like, insecurity and external validation. And I'd be like, what the fuck is that shit? Like, why would you need that? You know, like, the freedom at that time that I felt wasn't freedom from my mental health condition. It was actually a freedom that I felt because I felt so free from the torment of my mental health condition for the first time in 2 years. I was just like dying to tell my therapist this story. I'm like counting down the minutes. So I told him the story, and afterwards starting to feel super good about all of it, all of We Are Skateboarders. And I don't know why, it just instantly came to me. I want to listen to that Lobby So Free song that I love. And, you know, it's a really beautiful song. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I would love to find that photo of me doing the bonus on the bridge in Dublin, Ireland. I know it exists. I've seen it thousands of times before. So I look, because I want to show my therapist. And I look, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was like, maybe I'll go to my best friend's like OG Flickr account from like 15 years ago. It's got to be on there. So I couldn't find it. And I was like searching, and I was like, holy shit.
I look up from my book and see you sleeping.
And I found a picture of me about a quarter of the way into filming We Are Skateboarders. This first year I was developing bipolar disorder. And, you know, just kind of kept listening to the song. I was gearing up to just go on a long drive. And so I get in my car and I was just, for some reason, I just listened to that song over and over again. I was like, oh, like, I want to take a look at that photo again. I don't know why.
Put your arms around me.
The song lyrics are kind of just like,
Now, after all this time, I still adore you. Need you more than ever. Love you till forever.
I'm sitting there like, I had just been saying for the first time in 15 years, you know, in the last couple of months, like, I wish I had more of him, you know, I really do. So, you know, in that lyric, like, put your arms around me, like, I thought for a second, like, oh, it reminds me of that moment when I just wish my parents could hug me at the same time, you know? And I thought, like, no, this isn't about my fucking parents right now. This is about me. And I wanted to hug that We Are Skateboarders me, you know, at 19, going through all that. Like, I looked at myself, then sitting in my car as a 36-year-old man, you know? And I'm just like, oh God, like, this is too intense. Like, I gotta go. I gotta gear up on this drive. I'm just gonna fucking hit the road. And I was like, Ben, just smoke a cigarette and sit with this one. This feels beautiful. You've been waiting for this for so long. So honestly, like, it's a minute and 15 minutes. It's a minute and 15 second long song, and I had listened to it over and over again and looked at that photo while I was doing it and cried harder and harder each time. And, you know, after all that fucking crying, I was just like, all right, I'll get on the road now, you know? When I got on the road, I was just like, you know, I've always told Jack, my therapist, and only him, that, about We Are Skateboarders and everything I went through, and, you know, living with undiagnosed bipolar disorder and how I fucked up everything and all the shit that, you know, going forward in my life, just all this trauma. And I never once said to him, and I never once said it to myself, like, developing bipolar disorder on its own is hard enough. How can I blame the We Are Skateboarders version of me for going through what I went through? That's forgiveness, you know? Like, that's self-compassion. And then I just thought, like, I did it all on my own, you know? Like, no parents, no psychiatrists, no therapists, and after my best friend moved home, no friends, you know, for a very long time. Just that dude sitting behind the CVS in an alleyway alone, journaling psychotic thoughts. And now when I think about that dude, I just say, I'm proud of you, brother.
I met a man, he was a good man, sailing and shoring, dancing the beta can-can, making me foreign, oh yeah. met a man, he was a good man, sailing and shoring. He got a Betatron man, talking that foreign. Ah yeah,